Hi, I'm Jonathan Pines. I'm here on the floor of the AES Convention 2013 with Michael Romanowski, the owner of Coast Recording, a wonderful mastering engineer, an amazing studio, and a guy who does some wonderful live recording as well. He's a real Renaissance guy. He can do it all. Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you use the Master Bus Processor?
Well, the Master Bus Processor is I started out looking for just a general compressor. I just needed something that I could kind of hold things, kind of glue together a little bit. What I found about the Master Bus Processor, I was really surprised that I started using more of the features in it that I thought I kind of never would, kind of like the width and the depth, and even more so the silk.
Tell us, I mean, it's kind of a boxer's or briefs question. Are you a silk red or silk blue guy?
Well, I found myself on blue actually more often than I really thought I would. They both have different characteristics, and one of the things I really like about it is that, well, of course, having a choice, some, none, blue, red, every record that comes in, and one of the things about mastering I love is the complete variety of music and the types of records I work on, but that also means they come from a huge variety of places. And they have different requirements. So having a tool that I can use in many different ways, rather than 15 different boxes that I have to choose for each given project, I fit into my workflow really nicely. I think it sounds fantastic. Having parallel processing and having a little color added to, if I need let's say somebody comes in with something that was a digital recording and it's sort of has that strident digital sound, I can shape the tonality of it a little bit and kind of ease it back, make it a little more pleasing to the ear. You know, we're always looking for that way that we can drag the listener in rather than push them back. You know, as helping people be creative and express their creativity, by the time they get to mastering, a lot of times we're looking at things being really upfront and in your face, and the trend of the loudness or whatever, where people wanted to try to impress within your faceness. I really work hard at trying to help clients pull their listeners in. If they have a song, they have something to say, they have an emotion they want to express, the last thing you want to do is shout at them, you want to pull them in. And I find that the Master Bus Processor is a really wonderful tool in opening up that sense of space and helping me hear the reverb trails or the sense of room reflections of instruments as they're recorded, helping vocals pop out a little bit by pulling them to the front just a tad, and it's a fantastic piece.
That's wonderful to hear that. We thank you so much for that kind of information. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about some projects you've done lately.
Well, a mastering engineer in San Francisco. I've been mastering records for 20 years now. I have a 2-room facility in the historic Coast Recorders building, Bill Putnam Design Studio.
Truly a temple of sound, guys.
A very fantastic room, really well done. And as of about 2 years ago, I took over the recording studio as well. So I started this series, speaking of the studio, I started this series called Live at Coast. So I got the name Coast Recorders back. And I started this series doing live records in front of an audience. And I have found that my passion for recording is what got me into mastering 20 years ago, but I still keep my hand in doing the recording part of it. I love the interaction of the triumph or tragedy of the moment, when you've got a crowd who is in an environment and they're paying attention to the artist, and the artist is getting the feedback. Clubs are great. You know, I love going to clubs. But there's a disconnect with the bar and the whole scene. When you're in a studio and you bring something like that in, the level raises, the artist steps it up, and you can feel, I mean, it's totally tangible feel about their performance and how the audience feels about being a part of that and participating in that as well. So I'm having a great time doing some projects back there. I just finished an artist in San Francisco named Jeff Campbell, who's doing really well with his. We filmed it. We made a DVD, so some of these I've filmed and some I haven't. Brad Brooks is another. I did an artist, Jackie Naylor. She's a wonderful jazz artist. We did a live record with her. So yeah, having a good sense of space. Nothing replaces space, and having a nice room. Good microphone.
You have an awesome room. Not only do you have an awesome recording room, you have an awesome mastering room.
Well,
and the umbrella for all of this is Coast Recorders. But tell us, what's your mastering facility called?
Well, mastering is Michael Romanowski Mastering, and I have a partner, Piper Payne. We have 2 rooms. We custom built them. I've been in that building for about 12 years now. I moved in with Paul Stubblebine. He and I took over that facility.
Also a famous mastering guy.
Famous mastering engineer in San Francisco, and a lineage of history of mastering engineers and very talented engineers and labels in the San Francisco Bay Area. But it's a great room. We built it to our specs. We had acoustician Bob Hodis help us do the design and the treatment of the room.
One of the first and most famous room tuners ever, Bob.
Yes, and it's great. I love it. I spend 10, 15 hours a day sitting in that chair working on records, and I couldn't be happier helping people get their creativity across.
I've had the pleasure to actually listen to some things in Michael's room. It's an amazing experience. I encourage all you guys to try it. Now I want to shift gears for a second and go back to the live recording thing, because you're really wearing several different hats here. You're being a producer.
A haberdasher, really.
Yes, a haberdasher. You're a producer, you're an engineer. You're really also, in the old sense of producing, you're helping put this whole thing together. And you're using some different tools with that.
Yeah.
For this, you're using the Rupert Neve Designs 5088 console, and you're also using some microphones. Can you tell us a little bit about these microphones and also the console and what it does for you?
Well, the console, so back in Coast Recorders, we have a 34 channel, or actually it's a 36 channel, I forgot, we had another stereo pair in there, of the 5088. Fantastic console. I love the summing in there, the way that it just brings the music together, being able to push it a little bit if I want, have the headroom if I want. And it works really well with taking the sound of space, keeping the sound of space as it's combined and presented, all of these things in the same room. I've been using the Voodoo mics. I'm a big fan of ribbon mics.
Is that the VR1?
That'd be the VR1. Yes, I'm using the VR1, and they're fantastic mics. I've been using them on guitar amps. One of the recent sessions I did back there, I had a string section that was playing with a band. We don't use monitors. We don't use headphones when we do these records. It's totally balancing the band on the spot, and the microphones pick up just the right amount of bleed, just the right amount of the backspace. Like I said, with the strings is what I'm thinking about particularly this recent session. The cello, violin, and viola, and you're catching the part of the room with the back lobe, and you've got the direct coming down right on the instrument itself. Nice woody tone. Guitar amplifiers, they sound fantastic on. They're really the character of the speaker and the amplifier.
So this is versatile enough to use it not only on the guitars but also on the strings?
Yes.
And have you tried them on drums?
You know what, I haven't tried them on drums. That's probably next. Yeah. Yes, I take that back. I've been using them on snare drums. And doing
ribbon on snare, isn't that kind of dangerous?
Well, I think it's fantastic. I wouldn't use it if I tell you what's really great about that is if you have the ribbon mic on the snare and you have the hi-hat, the null point, the hi-hat right over the ribbon, you're picking up the rim and the sound of the snare itself, the shell, and you can null out a lot of the hi-hat bleed, so you can really get a really good snare tone without being overwhelmed by somebody banging the hi-hat.
And the mic can take the punishment of being on snare drum.
I can take the punishment. I'm not even using the VR2. No phantom power. The gain it's perfect. It works great. And like I said, the tone is very natural. If I need to EQ it, one of the things I like about ribbon microphones is you're able to tweak the EQ a little bit and not lose the character of the instrument. And the VR1s are fantastic for that. So yes, I have used them on drums. Toms would probably be next. I need to try that.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've been using the RN17. I've been trying that out lately as well.
Tell us about that, because that's a small capsule condenser with a giant Rupert Neve custom transformer on it and Class A electronics. What have you been using those on?
Well, I've been using what I found a very something I'm now very partial to is using the Omni capsule on an upright bass. I pick up that lower octave. You get the right spot on there, and you get the whole top of the bass just resonating and feeling big. And the nice thing about Omnis, and I'm a fan of Omni capsules, you get that extension down low, and you pull it up into a mix, and it fits in just nicely. Feels natural. Bass players are happy, so that's really great. I've had some really good success with that on piano as well, using the figure 8 on a piano, single mic figure 8 on a grand piano.
Wow, because you have a beautiful old grand piano in a real space.
In a real space. It's a 1879 Steinway A, which really sounds great. But taking the figure 8 and finding the right spot for string balance, one microphone, I'm picking up the entire spectrum of the piano.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
I'm not a big fan of it's a left-right, so you pan it hard left, hard right. So finding one good microphone in the spot to pick up the instrument, and again, using a sense of space. If you localize the piano in the sound field where you want it and use the space from the room mics, it just drops right in. Sounds great.
That's wonderful. I can't end this segment without talking to Michael a little bit about the fact that he is the local chapter president for NARIS in San Francisco. And tell us what having some representation and having a voice in the industry means to you.
Well, I think I'm very proud and honored to do so, because we have a really wonderful chapter with a lot of great folks. What it means to me is an opportunity to be out helping reach people and talk about things like sound quality. Some of the other matters that we've been working on from the producers and engineers wing, which is a part of the Recording Academy, looking at credits, making sure musicians get the credits, players get the credits they're looking for.
And you know, us as engineers and producers rarely get our credits.
But we live by our credits. Our work is our calling card, and our reputation is based on things that we do, and so I think it's very important. It's also hand in hand with the advocacy department that we've been working with nationally, working with Congress and legislation to try to make sure musicians get paid for broadcast. And so as we're working with those kinds of things, how do you know who to pay? As that's going to be coming through, how do you know who to pay if you don't have credits? So,
and how much should we get paid?
It's a very symbiotic relationship, and I'm very proud of the work we're doing with the San Francisco chapter and nationally with the Recording Academy to really help raise the bar. Sound quality, rights of musicians, healthcare, and things like with Music Cares, helping musicians who are down, like the recent floods in Colorado. Music Cares was on the ground to really help studios and musicians, and that
Boulder, we feel for you.
Yes, we do, and really proud of the fact that Music Cares stepped in and really helped some people out in times of need. And just one of the many things that they do, the foundation, the preservation of audio, conjunction with the Smithsonian. Really great stuff, and I'm just very honored as president of the chapter in San Francisco that I can bring my voice and the things that concern me to this larger platform.
At the end of the day, I bet they feel pretty lucky to have you.
I'm honored to do so. We're all trying to make good records. We're all really trying to keep people being creative and keep quality up, and I'm happy to be doing it.
Thanks so much. Here from the floor of the AES 2013, Michael Romanowski.
Thanks, Jonathan. Really appreciate it. Thank you.